Hello everyone, this is the Game Boy port of the PC and arcade game Hyunkyo Alien. The Game Boy port released in 1990, 11 years after the original came out on the PC. The story begins with a UFO landing, and subsequently letting a bunch of aliens out into the city of Hyunkyo. You play as a Kibishi, a kind of high-in-age police officer, who is tasked with exterminating these aliens by burying them in pits. Hyunkyo Alien is classified as a trap 'em up, and was the first of its kind. The original was the first game to have a digging mechanic. Gameplay involves moving around a single-screen maze, digging holes, and attempting to have the aliens fall into said holes before the player fills them in, burying said aliens. It's a deceptively simple concept, but a number of design decisions keep a nice amount of strategy to this. For example, holes can be left half-dug, which can be filled in by an alien crossing over them. Positioning of holes is also very important, and as a result, numerous techniques sprung into being when the game originally released. The controls also tie into the complexity. One button controls the digging of the hole, while the other controls the filling in. This isn't an instantaneous process, however, as it takes roughly a second and a half to fully excavate a hole. This leads to tense moments as an alien approaches the player as the hole is being dug. The alien AI is also worth mentioning. The aliens move in seemingly random ways, but they often seem to gravitate to certain areas. For example, aliens will often help save a fellow nearby alien if they become lodged in a hole before the player has had the chance to fill it in. They also lead to nerve-wracking moments, and players must be efficient with their burials to ensure the aliens don't escape. The game looks lovely for its time, and the sprites are simple but have a lot of charm. The game has 12 stages, and the difficulty ramps up nicely as the game goes on. Each stage offers something different to keep things fresh. The game plays very smoothly and has aged impressively well. It's an enjoyable game, but the main reason I wanted to talk about Hyunkyo Alien is because of the original game's interesting place in gaming history. The original Hyunkyo Alien, released in Japan in 1979 for the personal computer. The game was created by a group of students at the University of Tokyo. The game was the first dig 'em up, a subgenre of games with digging holes as the primary mechanic. Hyunkyo Alien is also considered the first in a large number of maze chase games, and predates the seminal Pac-Man by a year. One could even argue for Hyunkyo Alien being considered the original survival horror game, also beating out Pac-Man in this regard. Survival horror is a genre in which the player character is particularly vulnerable, which places gameplay importance on evasion and strategy rather than combat. Hyunkyo Alien's gameplay style of evading monstrous creatures and indirectly trapping them could easily fit into this categorization. Hyunkyo Alien went on to inspire popular games such as Lode Runner, Dig Dug, and Space Panic. Space Panic, released in 1980, was a particularly special case. The gameplay was more or less the same as Hyunkyo Alien, but the camera was locked to profile, and the player navigated platforms via joined ladders. What was special about Space Panic was that the player could fall off the platforms. This led to Space Panic being considered the first platform game. However, the player couldn't jump, which is a key component of the platformer genre as we now know it. Regardless, Space Panic was immensely influential. The side-on camera perspective, along with the game's use of ladders for movement, were other important features for the emerging genre and for video games as a whole. Nintendo's Donkey Kong, released in 1981 for arcade, was the first game which allowed players to jump across platforms and obstacles, and was the game that kicked off the career of one of the greatest minds in gaming, Shigeru Miyamoto. Donkey Kong was also important for the medium and industry in numerous other ways. Donkey Kong was the catalyst for Nintendo's overwhelming influence over the industry, who went on to shape gaming as we know it today. I find it fascinating that an unassuming game like Hyunkyo Alien could go on to influence so many other games, as well as tangentially influence the creation of the platformer genre, which will prove to be one of the most popular genres throughout the following decades. It's a tiny piece of gaming history, but a valuable one at that, and leading into some of the most important works of that era. As well as this, Hyunkyo Alien is an enjoyable game in its own right, and is well worth a play. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed.